Folks, hey folks, we're on. Welcome back. What an incredible day it's been at RecFest. Hope everyone's found a lot of value from today, reconnected with old friends, and celebrated this incredible community. And also, I think it's important to take a moment to rediscover and love what we do as an organisation and as a community. So, thanks for all your energy and involvement. It's truly appreciated. So, I'm your host for the next two sessions. We've got some pretty strong sessions to end the day. So we're closing strong today. So keen to get straight into the next one. Super excited to welcome someone whose work embodies everything this stage stands for. So Roy's going to challenge how we think about potential and who we might be missing because of how we screen. Please give a huge welcome to Roy Beladi, CEO of Jobs for Humanity and a true champion for Overlook talent. So Roy, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, my name is Roy, I'm the founder of Jobs for Humanity. And what if I told you that the person who could 100x your business is sitting in your rejection pile right now? In this session, we're going to come face to face with the biases that we have as humans when we select people, the actual inner workings of AI, how does that actually work when it comes to match people, and then the ideal hiring process for you. What do all of these individuals have in common? And you can blurt it out, or you can just think for yourselves. Now, they're all human, and the heart of it is going to come later on in this presentation. We're going to get back to them. But when you see them, you could probably think genius. You might think crazy. You might think extremely determined, inspiring. But when you look at your own hiring process, you look at your ATS, you see documents. The faces are abstracted. The personalities are not there. You're just looking at a document. Now let's play a game where you can see your own biases come just in front of you. We're going to look at one job and 6 candidates. One of these candidates is someone who would have 1,000x'd your business. And I'm going to tell you afterwards who that person is. I want to see if you're going to be able to identify that one person from the span of 6 resumes. So if you could please scan that QR code, that'll take you to Slido. I'm going to do the same. And let me know when you have. We're going to see a job description for 30 to 40 seconds, and then each resume for double the amount of time that recruiters usually have when they scan resumes. So we're going to get 15 seconds per, and then as you go, you're going to see those candidates, you're going to start to reorder them. And we'll see if you're able to identify the person who would have 1,000x'd your business. Here's the job description. I'm zooming in so that we can all see it. So we're looking for a skilled, forward-thinking engineer with a strong interest in programming language, design, developer experience, and system-level tooling. As a senior research engineer, you're going to help to design, prototype, and implement the next-generation developer-facing technologies. You'll join a small, high-impact team focused on advancing boundaries of how people learn to program. It's great for someone who's building developer tools from the ground up, designing new languages or systems. Research, design, and implementation of new languages are important. Developing interpreters, compilers are important. Contribute to the internal knowledge of your team. First candidates coming up, you've got 15 seconds to rate them mindfully within your mind, and then as we move to the next and the next and the next, you're going to reorder them. Here's candidate A. I'm going to zoom in so we can see their profile a bit better. Please raise your hand if you're not able to read anything. All good? Off we go for 10 seconds. All right, we move on to candidate G. Move forward if you need to see them better. All right, all good, all good. Off we go to candidate L. Okay, that's 15 seconds. We move on to candidate N. And within Slido, you can just rank order them. Moving on to the next candidate, we get to candidate S. And we've got one more, candidate T. Remember, one of these will completely 1000x your business. All right. Here we go. Now let's see who will transform your organization. I'm going to check the scores. We're going to see them on our phones because we can't see them directly on the screen. Let me see if I can see the results. Is everybody able to see the results or not? Actually, I may need to log in. I'm actually seeing the candidate view. Well, you have your own ranking. Now, before I reveal that one of them is Sergey Brin, another person has invented the Python language, I asked AI to tell us what it thinks your ranking will be. And this is what AI showed. It thinks that the human is going to pick candidate A first because of their advanced degree, quantifiable achievements, and the expert title. Then S, prestigious university, current work. Then T for clear career progression. Then L, then G, then N. Now, who here had candidate A? Please raise your hand. Candidate S, please raise your hand. Okay. Candidate T. We have T is the leader right now. Okay. Who had G? Okay, just about like S. Who had L? Okay, L is second to T. Who had N? All right, so we had T, then L, then G and S, then A and N. This is the AI's actual score. So here we rank them based on our Jobs for Humanity algorithm uses AI all the way through. The top candidate is Guido van Rossum. He founded Python. Second is Sergey Brin in creating a new programming language. Then L, then N, then T, then A. So we, about a third of us, no, actually it was about 15% of us would have picked number one, and another 10% number two. So that's a quarter of us would have picked Google from that pile of resumes. And another, or the founder of Python. Now, let's see how AI actually scored these individuals. And then we're going to get into the inner workings of AI because it's super important for us as recruiters when we're being surrounded by talks on AI, and in almost every conversation, every vendor talks about AI, to actually understand how that really works. So, for candidate G, it extracted this information, that the candidate's role in leading design and implementation of the ABC language and integrated programming environment. Then the candidate's background in systems programming, where they developed and maintained system-level tools. Then the candidate's history of collaboration with notable figures like Stephen Pemberton. And finally, while the candidate does not explicitly mention the experience with human-computer interaction, they do have system user interface and worked on interpreters. And that's why they got a 4 out of 5. Now for candidate T, who we ended up ranking the highest, this is what it extracted out of it. suggests a strong foundation in technical analytic skills, but it doesn't exactly relate to programming language design in systems level tooling. The resume doesn't mention experience with programming language development, IDEs and others. So, let's talk about how LLMs work. It can be a very complex thing, but we try to simplify it into, without dumbing it down, without giving crazy analogies, on how does it actually work in the simplest level terms, in a way where we can walk back and be like, okay, I get it. First of all, each large language model starts with a lot of training data. Gemini started with all the information within Google, and Claude, Anthropic's Claude, their team actually bought millions of books, ripped away the pages, scanned every single page, and built their training library that way. The GPT is a combination of both, and every large language model has used one of these forms. Now, it looks at the job description. So how it reads the job ad is, let's take a random sentence like research, design, and implement new programming paradigms. It takes every single word, assigns a token, so basically a numerical value to it. And why a token? Because numbers is how AI is able to understand and not words. Just like phone converts your voice into signals, then this is how, in binary, this is how AI works. Then for each one of these tokens, it creates a vector with 700 plus different dimensions. They're called embeddings. And each one has a particular coefficient. Now, how do you get to these embeddings for the word programming or for the word paradigms? So these are actually the coordinates for the meanings of every word. And the way it works is, at first, every word has a completely random vector. And after that, it takes part of the training data that it has, the part of a first sentence. So for example, I'm learning a programming, it tries to guess the next word. If it guesses language, then it says, wonderful, you guessed correctly, you got the right vector. If it doesn't get language and gets, for example, learned a new programming, coffee, then it adjusts the coordinates of coffee. And after billions of iterations, it keeps on adjusting every word that it guesses until it gets it right and it says, wonderful, brute force, you're close enough next to program, because of their co-occurrence. And this is, in a nutshell, how it works. So if you go back to the job ad, after all of that training, it gets to programming is close to paradigm, it gets to close to languages, and each one of these 700 dimensions starts to gain meaning. One for coordinates, one for the context. So why didn't it so for resume G, you can extract the exact same exercise, lead design and implementation of the ABC language, comes up with the vectors, and now it knows these vectors with all that training and realizes that design close to ABC, which is a programming language, and then language means that, hey, this person knows ABC language, which is close to what the job is looking for just because of these coordinates. It does this for the entire resume, so it looks at every word and sees how important it is. Like, for example, lead, design. Lead's not very important. Design and implementation are somewhat important. And of the are not important. They're just filler words. ABC language, aha. I found, bingo, this matches the job that we're looking for. This, in a way, after getting all of these words, it gets a sense of understanding what the career progression of a person is. It has worked in research. They speak programming languages. Therefore, they're a good match for the creator of a programming language. For resume T, it does the exact same exercise. Lead data engineer at travel station, identify that the important words are data and engineer. It sees that the coordinates of data and engineer are far from programming language creator, and therefore it doesn't assign the scores. So the way it does it, then it gives points to all of these words that match, and therefore you get Guido with 7 out of 10, and candidate T with 0.5 or 1 out of 10. That was a very quick crash course on how AI does things. But that's really important because it gives us somewhat of an understanding as we walk around and people start to talk to us about AI. And by the way, when we talk about pictures and videos for AI, it's the exact same thing. Everything gets converted into words, tokens, vectors, embeddings, and tested. Now, AI does this in just 2 seconds. Reads the whole resume, matches, synthesizes everything. Whereas for us, it took us 15 seconds and we weren't very close to that outcome. So now let's take a look at us versus them. Like, what's our purpose within this entire paradigm? We have qualities that AI doesn't have, and I'm going to bring us to them because they're extremely important. Our role is not gone when AI can match a resume better than we can. We do things way better than AI, and it's important for us to know what they are because we can fit them in the hiring process correctly. So, as we said, we scan for similar keywords. We can sense it in the exercise that we did it earlier today. We look for prestigious companies, names, checks for job titles, years of experience, make gut decisions, often miss the deep technical nuances because of all the fields that we're facing. However, humans read personality and values. AI cannot access soft traits. We detect passion. AI can only see facts and misses emotion. We can spot growth potential. AI only focuses on explicit experiences. We can predict the collaboration style, that this person would actually work really well with this other person because they're so highly organized and they're actually a good team player that would go very well with this other personality. AI cannot assess interpersonal fit. We can adapt to unwritten needs. Who here thinks a job description is the end-all be-all of everything needs in a job? Yeah. There's a lot of things that are not in the job description. AI is limited to that stuff. So we have a role, and a very important one, to select the right person. But it's just not the same one as AI. Why? Because AI will not make demographic assumptions. It will spot the relevant experience. It's going to apply the same criteria across thousands of people. And it's not going to get tired so that the person in rank number 80 is just less lucky than the person that you see in the second place in the pile of resumes. So, the best hiring process is the one that combines both. At first, it starts with technical fit. Let AI do that. Let AI filter by core technical requirements, rank the objective of the job, eliminate or at least re-rank candidates by fit, and identify human gems that we would have missed. ABC language, if you didn't know about it, well, you just had the founder of Python who could have been at your team. Then, after AI does that first part, we then interview the top AI ranked candidates. We look for soft skills, communication, collaboration, evaluate culture fit and motivation, and then make the final hiring decisions. We make that final hiring decision, not AI. Now I'm gonna take you through a live example of how Jobs for Humanity's AI matching engine works. Not to tell you that this is the right way to do it, but this is just one way that applies all the knowledge that we have in AI to allow you to create the ideal hiring process in our eyes. You then build the ideal hiring process for your organizations as you see fit. First, you go to the career page, you see a job description. AI does this. It scans that JD, drop it in, and then convert every word into objectives, skills, and key results. This allows the system to be able to convert a biased job description into actual outcomes that are needed and helps AI do its job, its next job better. It also allows multi-posts to various job sites, about 20 different job sites. This helps convert a job description that says experienced engineer to someone that's improved the uptime of a system to 99.99%. This allows a startup founder, a tech startup founder, and someone who worked at a big company to be at equal footings if they have kept the system up for 99.9% of the time. It allows for better matching, proper meritocracy, and reduces bias of objective metrics versus subjective interpretation. The next step of it is it searches through the entire talent database extremely quickly. How often do we do that? Every time we post a job. Surfaces the candidates who actually match the job as well as possible. Generates an AI-based assessments, skills assessments to those objective skills and key results, sends it to the candidates either in a form or through an avatar that communicates with you. And then after it does that, it extracts a lot of information that it then surfaces where you can get, by the time a human gets in the loop, a very deep analysis of each candidate's strengths on top of their resume. This allows to transform recruiting from a reactive keyword matching to a proactive talent discovery within your database across all candidates to apply, and applies the predictive accuracy. It's great for scale and precision, and it's also excellent for speed and quality because it allows to condense days worth of work into a few hours, and then it ties everything to the objectives, skills, and key results, and gives you a complete candidate view by the time it gets to the hiring manager. And then the last bit is that AI also creates interview questions for the skills assessments for once the human gets into the loop. So therefore, at this point, it can automatically send to the client or to the hiring manager a triple vetted candidate with a summary of their skill set, and it gives every single candidate proper feedback to let them know that you were in the top 10% or 15% of candidates. However, these are the gaps that you can be stronger at, and these are the best jobs in our system for you where you actually have a stronger shot, and this is what you can do to improve. This part, all automated from A to now, allows you to transform a black box hiring process into one where hiring managers can go from ad hoc feedback to always receiving top talent analysis and reduces hiring delays, allows candidates to get proper feedback. So instead of getting a not fit generic email, they get a truly helpful personalized message based on their gaps. And it allows candidates to truly improve and the company to build a more solid reputation. Now there's this really important topic about, does AI affect diversity? How do they fit? Well, let's go back to the first image we saw. What do Einstein, Sergey Brin, Madeleine Albright, and Sigmund Freud, as well as 120 million people worldwide, have in common? They were all refugees. And refugees in our current hiring process are at a disadvantage, and usually they fail, they drop off at the resume screening stage because of the gap in the resume, or because the resume doesn't look like what we're used to, the multi-page CV, or because of the picture or the nationality. And therefore, or if a person has moved in from another country, then we might not recognize this university in Jordan. What do all of these candidates have in common? Elon Musk, Billie Eilish, Simone Biles, and Sir Richard Branson, as well as 1 billion people worldwide. They were all neurodivergent. They are all neurodivergent. Elon Musk has Asperger's, Billie Eilish has Tourette syndrome, Simone Biles has, believe it or not, ADHD and dyslexia, and so does Sir Richard Branson, dyslexia and ADHD. Now, where do they often, neurodivergent individuals, drop off at the interview stage? Why? Because we prioritize the firm handshake between the eyes. Sometimes we come up with interview questions that are fairly vague and not precise enough. And we don't ask proper skill-based questions. AI can overcome that. And finally, what do Nelson Mandela, Robert Downey Jr., Martha Stewart, and Snoop Dogg, as well as 150 million people worldwide, have in common? They're all justice impacted. At some point in their lives, they were incarcerated, and there was a really cool session earlier in the workshop by Bridge of Hope, where one of their colleagues is justice impacted and showed the power of resilience there. Now, where do they normally drop off? At the offer stage, once we read the background check, because of the biases that we humans face sometimes. Now I was hoping to bring a friend of mine on stage, but she's in America, but I met her as soon as she walked out of prison. Her name is Shelley Winner. Shelley discovered that she was pregnant 5 days after she got to prison for drug dealing. Got out of prison 3 years later, and then she was interviewing with one of the global tech companies, and here's her story.
Here I was, fresh out of prison, and now working for one of the biggest tech companies in the world, and it was, I was beyond proud of myself for this. And I was honest about my background check when I got the job offer, and I knew it was going to get flagged, but I just prayed that my job offer would not get rescinded. And when it did, it was that moment where I just felt, am I going to have to pay for my past for the rest of my life? Am I going to have to wear these invisible handcuffs? The problem is that stigmas. People who go to prison and are bad people, I guess you could say, that we're unskilled. We are more likely to cause violence in the workplace. We are more likely to steal something. And so instead of tucking my tail in between my legs and giving up, I decided that I was going to stand up and fight. So I learned about this company, or this ordinance in San Francisco called the Fair Chance Ordinance, and I was able to leverage them to challenge Microsoft and say, hey, I am not my past. Here's everything that I have done right to turn my life around, and here's why you should hire me. Don't be afraid to fight. Sometimes it takes that one person to stand up and say something. And I'm so glad that I did, because now I've been with the company for almost 5 years. I've had 3 promotions since I started working for them, and it's been a great experience.
Shelly is today Microsoft's #1 salesperson for their tablets worldwide. Just a few years after walking out of prison and being rejected right and left. Now, what we love to do is to make sure that everybody gets a fair chance. So as we said, we multi-post. It goes to jobs for the neurodivergent, refugees, blind, deaf, single moms, returning citizens, rainbow jobs, and people who grew up in poverty, and in several underrepresented communities, which build a massive talent pool. Because AI doesn't see race and gender or background, it just sees fit. Now, I'd like to challenge you with everything that we've learned today. We had a chance to look at the inner workings of AI to understand how it actually matches, because we get a sense of what are its limitations, what is it based on, but what it does better than us. So I'm going to challenge you, because we're at TrekFest, and this is a place where forward-thinking people come in to have a good time and walk away with insights and something that they can just incrementally get better at when they go back to the office. I challenge you to try an experiment where let AI rank your next 100 applicants. And if you don't know how to do this, you could strip out their names, put it in any of these main LLMs. Contact us, connect with us on LinkedIn. We can help you with that experiment. Compare with your human rankings, and then track who actually succeeds in the role, and therefore implement meaningful changes to your hiring process. Because we would not want the next person who can 100x or 1000x our organization to end up in the rejection pile. The question isn't whether AI is here and we should do something about it. It's whether we're going to perform better in adjusting our hiring process to take advantage of the superpower more than our competitors do. Thank you very much for this talk. Thank you for listening.